Okay, so perfect. And we're keeping it super casual. I probably will use the transcript of this, maybe a little bit of the recording of you and your wonderful self. Thank you for dressing up so beautifully.
Well, of course, I'm actually, I just got back from one job and I will head to another job after this. So
You
that's
are
why
awesome.
I don't dress like this at home. I'm sorry to say.
Yeah, me neither. So finish telling me about basketball.
Okay, all right. So what happened was we went to this to Ananda High School from 9th to 12th. We first got there in ninth grade. We were basketball enthusiasts. We're basketball enthusiasts still. We've always been basketball enthusiasts. But we wanted to create a team since there was no high school basketball team. So we got all of the other boys to say yes. We got Kamran to coach, and then we got Julie Roberts, Kamala's mom, to be our coach. We tried to get other teams. We ordered jerseys. We set up practice times. We conducted practice, had game plans, plays developed, and everything, but we couldn't find opponents to play against. So we kind of had the whole framework down. Um, and then Julie's daughters, Gianna and Mira, were in middle school or junior high. And she was I guess she was kind of inspired by our desire to make a basketball team for the school. So she wanted to make a middle school girls basketball team. So then she asked us if we were willing to coach because we were part of like organized basketball in middle school. So basically, she turned over the keys to us, and we ran practice. We came up with plays and everything, and we've built a special bond with the girls too. So they were really happy to actually be there and play, and they would actually practice even when we weren't there to coach them. So it was really a lovely time with all of us together to bond and to get better at basketball.
It's really powerful to hear how the enthusiasm that the two of you brought in snowballed into impacting so many other lives also and creating really successful and joy filled
Yeah,
experiences.
they're great kids too. They were always willing to learn new things. I know sometimes it's really hard when the people you're trying to teach aren't enthusiastic, right? You probably know this from by being a teacher, but they were really helpful to us too, and they picked up what they needed to do on the basketball court really quickly, even though they didn't rip at the beginning. I remember the first practice, like I remember explaining every single rule that there is in basketball because they hadn't heard that before. Um, so yeah, it was really fun. And also another thing is from a larger perspective, middle school is kind of when society tells girls to, you have to act a certain way. You can't do this and you can't do that. And we noticed that these girls, they used to be very active prior to them getting to middle school, and we wanted to give them a chance to continue that going forward. So this was really the only opportunity at the school at the time to be recreationally active um, outside of just the school hours.
That was such a gift. And knowing some of these young ladies now, it seems like they've carried that forward to a strong degree also.
Yeah, and I still talk to some of them still, and they're still great kids. I mean, they're
Beautiful.
older now, but they're
Yeah.
still great people.
Well, well, okay, let me introduce you. So, we're talking today with Sombuddha Badhra, and he's a graduate of Living Wisdom High School from Ananda Village. Shom, tell me a little bit just about your trajectory through school, like from elementary all the way up through high school, and how that progressed for you and your brother.
Sure, yeah, I have a twin brother. We used to be very similar in our academic desires. Now we have gone a little bit different paths. I'll get to that in a bit. We're originally from India. We were born and raised there, lived there until we were 9. So we completed school from pre-K to fourth, like about half of fourth grade. We moved to America um, when we lived in Los Angeles for a little bit, for about 9 months or so. So we skipped half of fourth grade. We completed fifth grade in LA. We completed sixth, seventh, and eighth here in Oregon, which is where I still live. And then for high school, I completed those 4 years at Ananda Village. When my brother and I were both we were both very focused on science and math. Um, and one great thing about non-bilingualism schools, they kind of change their or adapt their curriculum to fit the needs of their students and what field they want to go into. But they're also very good about exposing uh, the students to multiple different fields. Um, for my brother and I, we had already made up our minds by the time we got there that we wanted to pursue science. It was just about what type of science we wanted to pursue. My brother, he wanted to do computer science, and uh, the school was very kind and gracious in uh, making or forming an elective, so a lot of the students could take computer science classes if they wanted to. I think my brother learned to code in Java
Mm-hmm.
during his time there. I was interested in medicine, so uh, I was able to learn um, about a lot of the different types of medicine, allopathic and osteopathic and naturopathic and homeopathic medicine. Um, they also were really great about giving me shouting opportunities, which is really rare actually. There's a clinic right across from the Ananda Village, which is where I went to high school, and they were great about setting up weekly times for about 3 or 4 hours each week for me to go shadow over there. And then the year after I graduated, they actually held a homeopathic courses each week. So that is kind of our experience with the school. And then since graduation, my brother and I, uh, we both came back to Oregon, completed our bachelor's. He majored in computer science. I completed my bachelor's in uh, biology. He is currently doing his master's at Georgia Tech, specializing in machine learning, which is a subset of artificial intelligence. And I actually, a couple of days ago, got accepted into medical school.
Congratulations!
Thank you.
That's
Thank you.
huge.
Thank you.
Does it start next year for you or?
Yeah, so the application cycle is actually really big for medical school. It takes almost a whole year to just get through the whole application cycle. Um, so this is still kind of the beginning, actually, of the
Okay.
application cycle, and I would begin next year in August. Um,
Where will you
I've
go?
yeah, I've only gotten acceptance from one school, but usually when you apply to medical school, you apply to about 15 to 20. I still have about 15 schools to hear back from.
Okay. But one pathway is open and many more are on their way.
Yeah, exactly.
Congratulations. That's amazing. It's very
Thank you.
exciting. Do you know what kind of medicine you want to go into?
Well, that's another thing about going to school at Ananda. Since the campus that I went to was rural, I was exposed to rural medicine and especially rural family medicine. I saw that there were a lot of people around me who were uninsured or underinsured, and they wouldn't go to get the care that they need until it was too late and to go to the emergency room. That got me interested in preventive medicine or family medicine,
Mhm.
which is what I have experienced, and I have 5 years experience working at a family medicine clinic. Um, so that's what I'm leaning towards right now. But I also don't want to close doors before I know what's inside them. So I'm
Yeah.
also kind of waiting to get to medical school, do the rotations, and then see which one I really want to do.
Hmm. Well, happy journeys. This is really incredible.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. I bet that felt amazing getting your letter you said last week?
Yeah, it was just a few days ago. It was during Durga Puja, the first day of Durga Puja, which is a huge thing for me and my family, was because we're Bengali. And that's the day I received the call. I think it was Friday. Yeah, it was Friday. I received a call, and they said we're gonna make a doctor out of you. So we're really happy.
Wow. So I want to just rewind a little bit and, thinking about what you said in choosing to go to a Living Wisdom boarding high school, in a completely different state. You were living in, I guess, rural, slightly outside of Portland, but in
Mhm.
the Portland metropolitan area, and
Mhm.
then going to a rural community and doing a high school there that, as you so clearly said, they customized your education and they brought in courses and electives and things so that you could specialize in your areas of interest. But for a lot of people, that wouldn't be a natural or obvious choice. People often already are looking at, well, what does the school already have that is in alignment with my interests and things like that. How did you guys come to make that decision? Both you and Shagnik chose to go to the high school at Ananda Village. How did that happen?
Yeah, one big thing was my mom was already part of Ananda, so just the knowledge of the school was already there, which is probably the biggest part. I also got to meet all of the students because I lived at the Nanda Center here at Laurelwood. They all actually came up here, and I got to meet all of them the year before I applied. I got to meet all of the teachers, I got to meet all of the students, I got to play with them, I got to interact with them. They told me about their experience at the school. So I got the firsthand experience of what these students were like, what the philosophy of Ananda school was like. Um, and especially now with COVID and everything, that's a bit more difficult, I think,
Mm-hmm.
to do. Um, but the biggest thing that did stand out to me is what I said, that they they are they want to teach you, or they understand that everybody has their own path. They aren't trying to make everybody the same. They're trying to assist everybody in the path that they're going toward. And that's what I really wanted. Another thing about Ananda is that they're a smaller school, so it's easier for them to be more responsive to the student base. When you ask your teachers about one of your needs or maybe a personal problem that you're facing, they actually understand that, even if it's something really small like getting an extension or because you have to drive somebody to the airport or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so those things really appealed to me, and that's ultimately why I went to Nanda, of
Thank you.
course.
Um, you've woven in so many pieces of wisdom as you've shared. I'm looking through the questions that I had in mind, but so much of it you've already shared about. Will you talk about, because we didn't get this in the recording, will you talk about your experience, even just briefly, with the girls' basketball team?
Sure. Yeah. So the the biggest part was the interaction between us. One thing that we were talking about is that the high school campus is about 2 miles away from the elementary and middle school, um, and that means that most of the days that you don't have the interaction between these two student populations, which was the case for us also. We would have our classes with mostly the high school and would only interact with the younger students for a few events throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest opportunity that my brother and I got to interact with students at the in middle school was making that girls basketball team, and coaching them was honestly a blessing to get to know these wonderful people. They were, when we first started, they didn't know any basketball. They didn't have any basketball experience. We didn't have any coaching experience. So it was a whole new, brand new world to all of us. But they were actually very good about picking up and wanting to learn. I think that's another big thing about what Ananda teaches. They make learning fun, which from my experience before I went to Ananda, I never thought of learning as something that could be enjoyable. So they were really enthusiastic about picking up new skills and really open-minded, really cooperative amongst us, my brother and I, and also just the teammates, a lot of camaraderie between them. And they practiced, obviously, when we did have practice sessions, but also outside just to improve their skills. And they went on to play for AAU for a few years.
That's fabulous. Thank you. So, kind of looking back at your experience through high school, um, what do you feel like are some of the gems or the aspects of your education that allowed you to go on to your future successes, or sort of have left an imprint on who you are and how you move through the world?
I think one thing about me, I feel like something that Anand has taught me is to be calm and collected. It's very important in medicine, especially. I actually currently work as a scribe at an emergency department, and a lot of things happen, in emergency departments. It's sometimes a bit crazy. So just trying to keep your composure through meditation, through yoga. That's the big thing that I was taught at the school. Also, I dormed there. My dorm dad, he was really great. He had these skills like down on lock, really. Um, so I was able to experience that. And another thing is the hands-on experience. For us, every week we had a few hours to do an elective. Um, and we could choose what it was. We just had to find somebody to teach it to us.
Mm.
And this was the volunteer opportunity at a family medicine clinic that I received. And I was probably 14 at the time when I started. So I got to interact with patients and talk about medicine, which is what I was going to do for, well, at that point, for like the next 50 years. I got that experience really, really early. So I understood what the field was that I was trying to go into. And I guess for some people, it could be like, oh, never mind, I don't want to go into this. But for me, it solidified my desire to do it even more,
Yeah.
right? And even getting to know the patients, which is a big thing about rural healthcare, is that there's not that many people live in rural places, so you get to know these people personally and develop that skill of interacting with patients in a professional manner. And then the last thing is probably serving others. We had, I think it was 4 hours of volunteer time each week, and we did a bunch of different things. We helped out at a grave that was in town just to keep it clean and everything. We helped prepare meals. We did some agriculture, took our goats, a lot of different experience. And then another aspect of that was the service adventure trips. So 2 weeks every year, we got to go to a different part of the United States or a different part of the world. We got to go to Costa Rica, Hawaii, India, and we got to help out with making poi at this establishment. They basically fed the local population in Hawaii. So we helped harvest. We went to Costa Rica and we got to patrol beaches to make sure the turtle eggs weren't being poached, because leatherback sea turtles are endangered now. So it was really nice to be able to contribute in that effort. And that also goes really hand in hand with medicine and trying to serve the patient population. Hold on just one second. Did you come up here? No, I'm just talking with somebody.
No, I'm all good downstairs, sorry.
Okay, it's okay. I can move downstairs. You can be up here.
Well, I'll be an hour in the shower, so.
Okay. Would that make a lot of noise or?
No, it's out.
Okay. All right, then it's fine.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. So you got to be a part of, you went to Hawaii, you said you got to be part of the protecting against poachers in Costa Rica. I got to hear
Yeah,
about that experience. And then where
yeah.
else did you say you went?
Then we went to India, and then we also did a road trip to all the different national parks in Southwest United States.
What do you think made those experiences? Like a lot of students do service trips or travel during their high school years. Was there anything that stood out about how the trips happened for you guys that you felt like made them as meaningful as they were?
Yeah, so we had to kind of organize the trips and also fundraise for them. So the students were responsible for paying for the entirety of the trip, and you couldn't just go ask your mom and dad for money. You actually had to go out and work your butt off for it. Um, so that also gave a lot of students work experience, which is definitely needed for later in life. I worked at a family medicine clinic as part of the administrative team. I later moved on to the medical team. I think I might have been after I graduated high school, but if I didn't have the administrative experience, I definitely would not have gotten the medical assistant experience. But a lot of the different students did different things. I know one of my friends, he was a tutor, um, and other people worked at different stores and everything to make money, develop professionalism, develop communication skills, things like that. So earning the money was a big part, and that work experience was a big part. And then another was you had to basically come up with what you're doing during these 2 weeks. So, I mean, I guess if you wanted to, if you didn't want to, you could just tag along, I guess. But most people wanted to have an input on what they wanted to do. And the biggest of those was when we went to India, because we are originally from India, so we wanted to um, have our voice included in the planning. So we went to different parts of India. We went to the capital in Delhi. We went to where Yogananda was born in Kolkata, which is where I'm from. And it was really nice for Ananda to also accommodate us to see our family and our friends because we hadn't seen them since we moved here when we were 9. So that's another example of being responsive to the student base that they have. Um, and then we went to a few um, pilgrimage locations up in northern India.
Wow. I remember when you guys did that trip.
Yeah, that was really fun. And we actually that one was actually a week longer than the other one, so we were there for 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks.
Okay. And Shanti actually is part of our faculty here now.
Right. Yeah, I know. Yeah, that must be lovely too for
Yeah.
you to have her and the team, and then for her to get this experience too.
Yeah. Yeah. She, like you and so many graduates and alumni, carry a really unique and authentic quality as she moves through life. I can feel it as we're talking that you have the same kind of inner strength and clarity in purpose.
Thank
She brings
you.
a lot.
Yeah, she had that when she was in high school too. I remember.
Nice. Shom, this has been absolutely wonderful. I'm really just grateful for the time that you've given and the openness that you've come to the conversation with. Thank you so much.
Of course, anytime. Reach out to me anytime you need my help.
You're great. All right. Well, I look forward also to either the next time I'm in Portland or the next time you come down this way. We actually have a student in Portland right now.
Really?
Yeah, he found the school through. Do you know Elena Murphy, or do you know the Murphys?
This sounds really familiar. I
I
can't
don't know
place
her
it.
brothers' names. They're in college right now. She's a senior. Anyway, so her family referred this family to us, and
Okay.
so we have this wonderful young man from Portland he's doing
Nice.
obviously all online with us now. Uh,
Right.
but
Yeah.
it's making me think that there's more of a connection with
Yeah.
with
Yeah,
their,
definitely. The Portland mindset, I guess, is definitely very much in tune with what Nanda's teaching.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, I look forward to other opportunities for us to cross paths, and I salute you and cheer for you as you go into your next journey. Look forward to hearing all of the news. Thank
great.
you.
Yeah, thank you, Erica. Take care.
See you later.
Bye.